All right, so here's what we have to do our comparisons with, starting off with the factory OEM riser that comes on the motorcycle. And then I also have a eBay knockoff of the 2-inch taller riser. It's the same basic style that Harley Davidson offers as their tall riser option. And then also have a riser from A1 Cycle. So just looking at them lined up here, you can see, that we have our baseline OEM one, um, the Harley style one, we'll call it, aftermarket taller riser. It goes up about 2 more inches over that. And the A1 Cycles riser also goes up 2 inches, but then you'd also see it pulls back towards the rider about an inch or so as well. So let me go ahead and start putting these on the bike so we can talk about ergonomics. All right, so with the stock risers of the bike, when I first got the bike, I found myself, with my back bothering me after a while on longer rides. So for reference, I'm about 5'6", short legs, short arms, right? I do have the seat in the lower position on this bike, and in order to get into a position where I'm comfortable, seated comfortably, and I feel like I'm in good control, good posture with my arms, you see, I have to lean forward a good, just a little bit there, and over time that was wearing on my lower back. So I started looking at other options. I do have the bars, uh, even with the low risers, I did lower the bars a bit, rotate them towards me to bring them back a little bit. But even with that, I found that I was really leaning forward more than I wanted to. All right, and here's what it looks like from the cockpit. And you can see with the standard risers, they come down pretty low. And we have, good full visibility of the screen. No issues there. Up next, we're going to do the 2-inch riser, the Harley Davidson knockoff that I have here. So let's get that on the bike and see how that one works out. All right, so now my eBay knockoff 2-inch taller risers are on the bike and can already kind of see, one of the things as far as the fit and finish. And that's that these were finished with a, kind of a smooth, glossy uh, finish. And, when you use your stock hardware and the rest of the bike is more of a satin finish there. But on the flip side of that, these were $50. So there's obviously going to be compromises when you get something so cheap. But as far as the build quality and the fitment quality on the bike, um, they were pretty good. I can't complain for the price that was paid. All right, so with the 2-inch taller risers installed, again, sitting back nice and comfy on the seat, and reaching to the bars, and already my back is a lot straighter than it was with the factory risers. This ended up being a lot more comfortable as far as riding, even when standing up, still had good, that felt good, felt like they were in a good position. Um, but there was one really negative aspect of these that was a deal breaker for me, and let me show you what that is. This was the deal breaker for these risers. They come up, and as you can see, they block a good bit of the lower screen. I guess if you were perhaps taller, you know, I'm standing up, this could be your vantage point if you were, 6 foot or so. But me, being at only 5'6", this is what I get to look at, and really didn't like having that much of the information on the lower half of the screen blocked off there. All right, and finally we have the risers from A1 Cycles. Initial impressions, you'll see that they are a lot beefier than even the factory risers as far as overall thickness of the of the riser. Very nice finish on them. It's a satin wrinkle powder coat. Arguably nicer than, even what the original factory finish is. So let's get them on the bike and see what the ergonomics looks like. All right, so with the A1 cycle risers on there, you can see, I get into a nice, good, comfortable posture here. My arms are nice and straight going across. My back is nice and upright. I don't have to really lean into it at all. And even for standing up riding, they still work out really well there as well. And then as far as the issue that I had with the other ones, you can see here that I have no issue seeing all of the real estate on the screen. Okay. So some other nuances about the A1 cycle risers that I have on the bike right now. So you'll notice that they come with their own top clamps for the risers. They don't use the factory ones. I get that they're using this, flat surface here to make it easier if you have other devices that you want to mount on the handlebar. But one drawback, at least with the particular top clamps that they give you, is they're not as wide as the factory ones. So when you go to swap out, your factory clamps are going to leave marks on the bars from where they were clamped down. And just because these top clamps are narrower, they're not going to cover up those marks. So you get these little marks on the bar that you gotta, live with unless you get it, repainted or something. Not a huge deal. The other aspect that I want to call out is if you have the Pan Am Special with the steering stabilizer, or even if you add it to a standard version, when you do a full lock turn to the left, that comes really close to hitting it. In fact, I can't get my fingernail in there. We're talking like a feeler gauge worth of clearance there. The factory risers have this cutout in this area so that for that steering stabilizer to move into, and it gives it like a good 1/4 inch of clearance all the way around. So I think I would have liked to have seen, a little bit of accommodation in this area to, have a little bit more clearance, especially when you get into different bikes and manufacturing tolerances, right? For me personally, it doesn't actually hit. I know this because, I'm not seeing any paint or finish wearing there. But who knows? A different bike, it might be enough that it actually touches. But other than that, yeah, overall quality of them is great. The riding posture works out to be a lot better for me. So the Harley Davidson Pan America, with its low seat height and adaptive ride height option, has made big adventure-style motorcycles a little bit more accessible to folks on the shorter side like myself. But that doesn't really help with getting a good reach to the handlebars. I hope that this video, showed you a couple of those options that are out on the market and gave you a good comparison of things to look for and how they may work out for you. Thanks for spending some time in the garage with me tonight. Ride safe, and I hope you enjoy.